All right, so I can see that we are already a few people, just, well, not a few, quite a lot, honestly. So looking at the second session for today. So first, let me introduce everyone. My name is Oriol Cullell. I am the product director for Gemvision. With us today, we'll have Lainey Laborde, Tanner Jeffries, and Kevin Witt to start to talk more about CounterSketch. So yesterday, we started the virtual summit, the third virtual summit with Harold Dupuy and Megan Martin. Yesterday, we were talking or we were giving an overview about the jewelry industry. Harold brought all his analytics and Megan a customer case study that was very, very good to see on how Stellar and Gemvision are working together to give customers solutions on their business. Now that we are on the second session today for the third virtual summit, we feel like we should start and go a bit deeper with what we can offer from Gemvision. This is why the title for today's session is Bridging the Gap Between Offline and Online Shopping Experience with CounterSketch. CounterSketch, as you know, is a product that Gemvision is offering, is helping a lot in the sales floor. And today we're gonna go deeper, as I said, and this is why we have Lainey, who has been in the CAD/CAM team as a validator at the very beginning. This was very, very good for her to get insights from all the customers, looking at all the files that we were getting from customers, from CounterSketch into the CAD/CAM department. And then she moved to training. With all this knowledge, she moved to training. So now, after getting all this experience from all the customers, she can train customers on how to get the most from CounterSketch. We also have Tanner. Tanner has been in different departments in Stellar. He has been in CAD/CAM also. He also has been in the model department to help create the Silver Masters. In R&D. So Tanner, you have been in quite a few places. So he now is in the later role as a tools technician, providing technical support and consulting for jewelry companies. So after being in all these different departments, he's the perfect person to talk to customers and teach them, show them how to use the different tools that we can offer to our customers. So he will be talking about CounterSketch and the B9 integration. So this is something that we have been working in the last, I would say, 18 months. So this is the right tool to talk to customers and show what we are designing in CounterSketch. Just in few minutes, show them and let them try it in their hand. So after Tanner and Lainey talk about this, then we have one customer that we are super proud to have him with us today, that is Kevin Witt. After Lainey talking about CounterSketch, Tanner about the B9, Kevin is the right person to tell us what is his experience actually with this product, right? Because he has been in Matrix for like 15 years, but at least he has been with CounterSketch for 10 years. While we were preparing this session, he was telling me that he has been very, very lucky to have this solution of CounterSketch and the B9. This is something that is helping him a lot to get sales and also to let his customers understand what he is designing. So I think that going through these fantastic three persons, we will be able to show all the power that CounterSketch and his solutions can offer to the customers. So Lainey, Tanner, Jeffries, Kevin, how are you today? Thanks for being here.
Yeah, we're doing well. Thanks for having me.
All right. So the way that we will do that, now I will let Lainey share her screen. She will go through a few slides about CounterSketch, ever&ever. So all that it's around CounterSketch, and then Tanner will tell us also about the B9, and we will finish with Kevin. So, Lainey, when you're ready, please.
Yep. So let me go ahead and get my screen shared for you guys. So we're going to talk about CounterSketch first. CounterSketch is a library-based software. We have about 2,500 different models and freehand parts, including ever and ever, which we'll talk about in a second. But all of those library models and freehand parts can all be changed 100 of different ways to really create what your customer wants. CounterSketch was created to create an unforgettable customer experience. So the idea with that is you sit shoulder to shoulder with your customer on the sales floor and really create that unique piece. With the software, you're able to do real-time estimates. Any dollar amount you see in CounterSketch will reflect your markups. So you don't have to worry about hiding any prices. The cost you see will be your customer's cost. With the B9 integration, Tanner will talk more about this in a bit, but you're able to get same-day resin samples. So from CounterSketch, you can print a non-castable resin sample in about 20 to 30 minutes. All manufacturing is done through Stellar's CAD CAM department, also submitted right through the software, so it's kind of a one-stop shop. Now I want to talk a little bit about Ever and Ever. So let me switch my slide. Ever and Ever is a comprehensive in-case bridal program. With that, you'll get high quality prototype engagement rings. So you'll have this whole display your customer can kind of pick and choose through. And with all things, customers will look at pieces and they love this, but all Ever and Ever engagement rings are within CounterSketch. So if they pick up that engagement ring and they say, hey, I love this ring, but I don't want these stones on the shank. Well, with the two working together, you're able to remove those stones and show the customer exactly what they want. Not only are you going to get these high quality prototypes, you're also going to get marketing support, national advertising of the Ever and Ever brand. We do have expansion options available. You're going to get monthly newsletters and then also social media content. So you'll get these images that are ready to post on your social media. You won't have to do any work. So just to show you how the two can work hand in hand with each other, we're going to do a demo within CounterSketch. So we're going to start off with this Ever and Ever piece you see here on the left. And using the controls in CounterSketch, we're going to turn it into the model on the right. So let me go ahead and bring up my CounterSketch screen. Just to kind of talk through what we're seeing here, this is our home screen. I did mention we have about 2,500 different library models and freehand parts, which can be quite a bit. So we broke it down into different tiles to just help you categorize your items a little bit better. If I click on my all ring designs, I can kind of talk you through this search screen for a bit. On the left, we have our material selection. So if customer expressed interest in a specific center stone, we could actually change that here and all of our search models will reflect that. So we can do that with metal as well. So customer said they want yellow gold. We can go ahead and make that adjustment. We also have different filters at the top that will filter down our library models. So if they know for sure they want that emerald cut center, we can filter that down so our models will only show us those that can accommodate that center. Because we're using an Ever and Ever model in this case, we actually don't need to use our search screen. We can use our search bar here at the top and type in that specific model number. So all of those Ever and Ever pieces will have a model number. We can type it in at the top, press enter, and CounterSketch will immediately bring up that piece. Once I left click it, I'll get my preview screen. It's going to show me that center, that large view for it, as well as 4 other views. And at the bottom, just a little more detail about my piece. I'm going to select Start Designing to open up my customization screen. So this is going to be where I'm going to make all of those modifications to my piece. Once it loads up on the left side of my screen, you'll see what we call our design stack. This is going to be where all of our controls live. Here on the left. At the top, we're always going to have our finger size. I can change my finger size and my model is going to automatically adjust. I have a few options up top. So these are what we call quick commands. These are things we could easily toggle on and off. As mentioned earlier, customer may want shank stones or they may want them off. We could easily turn that on here. If I wanted to adjust my center stone, I can come down my design stack, choose a different shape. I can choose a different size using this slider. If you're using a customer stone, you can use these boxes here to type in those specific dimensions. You can also shop Stellar stone inventory right through the software. So if you choose this stone tray option, it'll bring you right to our diamond shopper where you can choose a diamond to purchase. So a couple of things I want to change about this piece. We could adjust our bottom shape a bit if we maybe wanted a more of a square profile here at the bottom. We can change the shape of our shank if we wanted maybe a more Euro style shank. If I wanted to see more options, I can toggle on these advanced customization options. And this is just going to give me all of my controls broken down into different categories. So if I wanted to modify this center setting, I can increase my prong sizes. Keep in mind your design stack will vary model to model. So some models may have more controls than others. In this case, I want to add in a matching band to this piece. At the top of my CounterSketch screen, I can click on that band 1 option, and I now have a matching band. I can hover over to the band 1 tab and make modifications to my band if I wanted it to match my engagement. And this is just kind of how we modify a library model. Now, I did mention freehand parts. What that is parts and pieces that you can either build from scratch or add to existing library models. If I click on this little blue icon here at the bottom, it'll bring up my parts toolbox. So in this case, maybe the customer wants a halo on this ring and I don't have that option. I could always bring in a freehand halo, modify it a bit, and it's giving the customer the visual that they want. So once it loads up, we'll go ahead and make adjustments to it. Here on the right side of the screen, you'll see we have that same material selection we saw in our search screen. So let's go ahead and adjust our halo. We'll use our viewport control handles to pull it up. I can change the shape of it if I want. I think I'm going to leave it kind of at that rounded shape and just decrease my width and height until it fits that center stone nicely. We want to get it as close as possible to production ready, but don't worry if it's not all the way there. We do have a CAD/CAM validation team who's going to make sure this model is actually producible. So we very easily added that halo to the center stone. I'll go ahead and make it more of a square. And then on the right, we can choose a different metal. So I'll go ahead and change my primary. Maybe customer wants rose gold. Notice as I change this, I still have that center setting in that platinum. This just indicates this piece can be two-toned if we want it. I'm going to go ahead and make it all rose gold. I mentioned you can do real-time estimates. This little calculator icon here on the bottom right will actually pull today's metal market prices and give you that dollar amount. And then we talked about how we can print that resin sample very quickly and easily. Just to show you how easy it is to prepare that file to print, if I come over to this CounterSketch main menu, go into 3D printing, and choose print to B9, with the integration, it's actually going to self-support this model, so I won't have to worry about placing any supports manually. It'll load up here in a second. Once it does, all you need to do is export that model to a flash drive, and then you can print it on your printer, which Tanner will talk about here in a second. So we'll just give it a few seconds to load up that model so you can visualize it with all of those supports.
Yeah, and I remember that this is something that we were working a lot with the people from the B9 printer. And it's super cool to see how you can get all the supports without having to think about what is the best place that you can put them. So this is very, very convenient. Look at the result. And something that I like to say from this section is that they are super easy to remove. So sometimes you need to take care, but the way that these supports are done with your fingers just can take them out very easily.
Yep. And as you can see in this model, it's going to print all of these accent stones or all of these melee stones in there, and it'll leave that center empty. That way, if you do have a stone in-house, you can print it out and actually set that stone in that resin sample for your customer to visualize. But I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Tanner to talk a little bit more about the printer and that print process.
All right, thank you, Lainey. 1 second here, I'll share my screen.
Thank you, Lainey. Amazing as always.
Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we get that.
Okay, so here is the B9 and the bundle that you can get with it. So as you can see, the blueprint or the footprint of the machine itself isn't too big. We have the resin here, the printer, and then we have the post-processing here on the right. And as Lainey said, you will have some supports there. Oriel's totally right. These supports are super easy to remove. You can just use your finger, brush it off. So basically, you're growing up prototype resin. This resin that you're growing is called B9 gray. It's super hard, super durable. It's not malleable at all. There's no wax in it, so you can't cast
Hey,
it.
Tanner,
Just like, yeah.
I'm not seeing your screen.
You're not seeing it?
No.
No, yeah.
Flashed and went away. There it is.
There we go.
No,
You can see it now? Okay, perfect. All right, sorry about that. So super hard resin. I said it's not for casting, it's just pure prototype. Easy to remove these supports on there. And that support software that they have is fantastic. It basically recognizes negative facing geometry, and it'll put like a little pylon there to help support it out. So you don't have to do anything, just automatically recognize that and throw a little pillar there. So here we have the printer itself, and then we have the post-process part, and then we have the finished product. So from here, the printing part, you have to put it in a cleaner. The cleaner, you just fill up with isopropyl alcohol. You can use anything above 70%. Here we use 99%, and that's just for efficiency. So the stronger grade alcohol you use, the faster it'll clean. So this build head will actually unscrew, and it'll screw right into here. So you go from here to here. This is basically like a blender. It's like a margarita mixer, essentially. You just hit that start button there. It's going to fill up with alcohol up to here line, and there's a little magnetic stir in the bottom, and it's going to swish around the alcohol and make like a little vortex. So you need to do that about 5 to 6 minutes, just depending on how many rings you have on there. If you're just doing one-offs, it might just take you a couple minutes. But that's just to remove any excess resin that's on the part, because whenever you take it off this machine, it's going to be full of excess resin. So you have to clean it off, and then you have to cure it for a little bit. So the curing chamber is just going to be UV light. And the purpose of that is just making your ring a little bit harder and getting rid of that sticky tackiness from the resin. So there is some steps to it. Very easy to do. So unscrew, screw into here, a couple minutes, put in the cure chamber, a couple minutes, and then you can put it on your customer's ring, and it won't be sticky, nasty. It'll be hard. They can do whatever they want with it. Very simple process here. So we have two B9 printers that we sell here. We have the 550 and we have the XL, and it's the same technology. There's just small differences to it. So the B9 550 has higher definition but smaller build plate size. As you can see, it's 96 by 54 millimeters. The Z is 127. They're both kind of the same Z height on there. That's not really a big factor there. But the XL is going to have a little bit lower definition and a larger build plate. So it just kind of depends on what you're going for. If you're doing mass rings, or if you're doing big pendants, stuff like that, you might need the XL. But if that's not really your case, you're just doing a lot of one pieces, the 550 is going to be a great unit for you. And then here I have a video just demonstrating what it's going to look like whenever you grow a ring with the printer. So this is just a sped up video here displaying it. So basically you have a vat full of liquid, and in that liquid there's going to be a light source from the bottom, and it's going to be a DLP LED light engine. So a grow piece is just thousands of images sliced up, and this is going to illuminate light onto that resin, and piece by layer by layer, it's going to slowly grow a ring, as you can see. So this video right here was only 14 minutes until completion. So 14 minutes, and then you have your clean couple minutes and your cure couple minutes. You could have a ring on a customer's finger within 20 to 30 minutes very easily. And that is it for me. It's on to you now, Kevin.
All right.
All right, so let me share, Kevin, if you don't mind, I will share the screen so we can show a few slides from a few models that you sent us. This is the one share. So now we have the screen with the testimonial of Kevin. So before we go with Kevin, thank you, Tanner. It's so fast, the printer, that it's fast to tell how it works, right? Because it's just a few steps that you need to do.
Exactly.
I have been using printer for a long time, and by the time that we did the integration, I brought one in our office in Barcelona. And the first time that I used it, I thought, man, all this effort that I put in other printers back in the days with B9, as Lenny was showing, the support, adding the supports is easy, and then going through all the process is even easier. So thank you for all the explanation.
And just to add in, I used to not even understand the concept of 3D printing and how it was a thing, but I can work the B9 printer with ease. It's so easy to use.
Extremely easy. Yeah, 100%. And there's no maintenance with it or calibration. You literally just put the tray in and you load in your build job and then hit start. Some printers will have some calibration like your Z-axis or calibrating your position encoders, but with the B9, it's just plug and play. There's nothing you have to do.
All right, so now that we have put all the information, now we need the real case, right? So it's very nice to talk about how good CounterSketch is, how good the B9 printer is, but now we need to prove that. So this is why we have Kevin here. So Kevin, if you don't mind, would you mind tell us about a bit about your business before we go deeper with the CounterSketch and B9?
We have a retail store. I've done jewelry for about 40 years, and I started as a bench jeweler and a custom jeweler. We're in Okemos, Michigan, freestanding store, and custom is one of my favorite things to do.
Well, and I imagine that if you have been for that long in the industry, it's even better because you understand all the effort that you had to do back in the days, working by hand, carving wax, or even working with metal. And today, with these solutions that we have, the change has been crazy, right?
It has been. CounterSketch is a huge time saver. I mean, the learning curve of using CounterSketch versus doing hand carving, completely different. And CounterSketch is so much more versatile. I see it as a great opportunity for two different types of customers. One customer is coming in wanting something that is custom made, and with the virtual catalog type of thing, the other customer that comes in and you don't have the product they want, it's easy to, as soon as you realize you don't have what they're looking for, it's very easy to go to CounterSketch, and then you can create exactly what they're looking for.
And Kevin, something that came out from yesterday's session is what Harold was talking about, custom. So a 31%, if I'm not wrong, I believe that it was a 31% of the business is custom. So this means that jewelers needs a solution to provide this experience to the customers, right? So if you don't have the way to provide a good experience to customer, it means that you are missing this 30% of your business. So I believe that the 30% was totally custom, and 50% of the sales there was something that need to be changed from what the jeweler was showing to the customer. So custom in these days, everyone wants to feel like the designer. So being able to provide this solution with customers is something that I believe that it's very, very good to have as a user experience.
I definitely wouldn't want to remove that part from my business. It's people really want it. But I don't think customers want the old type of custom jewelry where they just come in and you say, yeah, you can make it. They want to be involved in the process and watch the changes happen before their eyes. I think every jewelry store out there says they can do custom. they listen to you for a minute and can call somebody in Chicago or LA and have it made. But I don't think that's the experience that a customer wants in today's world. They get excited watching you make the small changes, creating exactly what they want. They feel like they were involved in the process and they assume ownership. You know, it's just like when somebody pulls a ring out of your showcase and says, this is it. The experience of creating it in CounterSketch is part of what makes them say they want it. And it also really ties in the process. Some people have a great idea looking at it on the screen, but they can't put the whole thing together until you print it. And when you print it and put the center stone in it that they're looking at, or maybe they brought in something from their mother or their grandmother, and you actually put the printed model on their hand with their stone, they assume ownership and you're all done.
And this is something that I would like to reiterate, is that when you use the benign printer, we don't print the center stone. So we print all the accent stones, but we don't print the center stone. And I think that this is even better, right? So you have the gem on one side, the writing on the other side, and you, as you were saying, Kevin, you can present them together. So once you cast it in gold, the difference between what you showed them and what they will get is so minimal that they already have the idea of what are they going to get. So this is a huge step on the software from our side. So many times I talk with customers and I tell them that even when we were in shows, we were demoing our software, and many times the customers were saying, okay, now I can design anything either with Matrix or with CounterSketch, but what is the next step? How do I present this? Now, having the benign, I feel that we just closed that bridge, and now the people is able to see the piece in real time. So I think that this is it has been huge for us and for our customers.
I just think it made a huge difference for us when the customer could actually take the printed model and put it on their hand and wear it. I mean, there so many times they said, this is it. So it is definitely a great option to tie the two together. You're going to sell it. It's a little bit more money, but you're going to make a whole lot more sales when you tie both of the products together.
And now that we are talking about this, as I was promising, let me show here some of the designs that, so this is your showroom, right?
Correct.
And look, the place where, and I suppose that what we have in the picture where we can see you, this is where you work with your customers, right?
Correct. We have two different areas like that. Yeah.
I mean, that's super cool. So you've been able to get and talk to the jeweler and design with the jeweler the piece that you have in your mind, and you working with CounterSketch. And one of the good things about CounterSketch is how fast you can be. It's based on library, so you don't want to keep your customer 2 hours just watching how you design one model. And we have seen that Lainey just designed an amazing model. How long it took, Lainey? More than 10 minutes. So
yeah, it was very quick, and that was just a simple
we know
example.
that we know that you are very good, but
I mean, keep the compliments coming.
Even for someone who's starting. So and you can talk about this, Kevin. How long it took you to start designing and making models with CounterSketch?
I think you could do it with, if you put an hour a day into it for a week, you would be there. I mean, another great thing is they do have the training online now. When I started, they didn't have the training online. You just had to play with it till you got there, and you could go to 1-week classes, but it's so much easier to do it if you just devote a little bit of training at home. You don't have to be away from your store for a week. You don't have an airfare, you don't have a hotel and all the meals out to pay for. So it's much more economical and much easier to learn today with all the online training that is set up.
Well,
we commonly, after we work with a client and come up with a design they like, we just usually ask them to give us an hour or two, go have a coffee, go have lunch or dinner or something, and come back and actually pick up the model and try it on. And we usually let them take the model with us before we place the order.
This is amazing. And something now that you were talking about the online academy, this is something that we know. We know that is very, very important for our customers. So CounterSketch is something that is live. It keeps growing every day. So once a month, we release new models in our library. So we are always in the last trend. So we have all the team from Staller, and this is what we were talking yesterday, right? So we have a Staller in our bank that is providing us all this knowledge. So we get all this knowledge and we put it in our software. So we have these new libraries every month if you subscribe to the membership. So CounterSketch is always following the trends. And then we have this amazing team on the training side. We have Laney and Bob a lot that he will be in tomorrow's or after tomorrow's session. So they keep growing and growing this online academy, because at the end of the day, the trends keep changing. So we need to adapt to the trends that are coming. So this is why we always try to be in the last trends in the academy. And Kevin, would you mind telling me how hard for you was to just set up your printer, your B9 printer?
I think when we set it up, we had a meeting with two ladies from B9, and I think we were printing stuff within an hour or two. So our first day we were going at it and testing and trying things out. And it was very straightforward and simple.
And did you have any printer before this one?
No, we had a Revo mill, and the difference is huge. On the Revo mill, it did a great job, but the waxes were brittle. So when customers would try them on, it was very common for it to break. And it's nowhere near as effective at closing the sale with a broken model as it is with a printed one. And you always want to use the gray models or the gray resin for printing and working with your customer, because it is so durable. One of the things that we did for our jeweler is he wanted a custom guitar pick, and I made one, and he used it for over a year, and he plays all the time. That's how durable that gray resin is.
Yeah, it's and when you are providing this kind of service to our customer, they will come back, right? So this is what they are looking for. So they want someone who's taking care of their need. And I think that with this software is helping. And it's also worth mentioning that with customers, for us, with customers like Kevin, that they have this daily interaction with our customers. This is something that for us is gold. All this feedback that we get, we put it into the software, and this is why we can always be providing the right solution to our customers. And Tanner, if you don't mind, what kind of support do we bring with the B9 printer? So once anyone gets the B9?
Yeah, essentially, we provide full support. We'll do your setups. We'll do troubleshooting with you. We will even look at your files sometimes. We have people who can't have issues like growing a certain file, so we'll just do it here just make sure it's not a software or a firmware issue. It's not a file issue. So we provide total support on everything with the V9. Yeah, even installing it up, we'll help you out with that.
And I believe that this is very important from both sides, right? So we were talking about the academy and Lenny with and Bo with all the online academy, but also from the Gemvision side, we have the support line. So at the end of the day, this is new technology for most of the jewelers. So people who is used to work in the bench, getting one new software, a printer that prints what you are doing in your computer, sometimes can be something that you need someone on your side helping you. So from the tool side with Tanner and from our support line in Gemvision, I think that very easily we can help our customer to get all software and the B9 set up in their shop. So let me go through another slide that I have from Kevin here. We can see this is something that is the design process that actually then was showing. So how we grow the print, and then with the ever and ever, this is something that in this picture we show how you can remove the supports, and then how you can once you get the real model in your hand. So these are the 4 steps that it takes to have something that you design in your software straight away in your customer's hand. So I think that this is very, very cool. Let me see. I see that we have a few questions in the chat. Let me see if there is any that I will stop sharing now. I will keep the screen on the thank you, and let me go to the chat. Let me see what we have here.
I'll go ahead and answer Carol's question. I did respond to it in the chat, but just to be able to answer it live. She asked about the model I demoed and the customer wanting like a contoured band as opposed to just a straight band. Some models have the option to turn on the contoured versus straight band. If you aren't seeing the option in your design stack, once you submit your order, you can include that in your additional design notes, and our CAD/CAM team can create it for you. So if you're having trouble getting to a particular design, or you're not seeing a particular control, don't worry. We have a whole team of people in our CAD/CAM department that can help you get to that.
Thank you, Lenny. So I see that you, Lenny, have been already replying the chat. Justin is saying that Tanner helped guide us through setup with the B9 550. It's an amazing piece of equipment, and the customer support we received was top notch. So you can get this one, Tanner.
Yeah, thank you, Justin. I do appreciate that. We try to, so we know about almost every troubleshooting because we work really close with B9, and then we have constant meetings with them. And the main issue, if we have anything with the printer, is just software or firmware update, and that's like the big scope of the issues we run into. But anything that we can't handle, we'll just make a support ticket with B9, and they're pretty great about assisting with us in those issues. But yeah, Justin, I was glad to help you out anytime. If you have any questions, just always give us a call on our tools line at extension 4300.
Fantastic. We also have another question that I don't know the name of because it's DVSGS, but the same CounterSketch model be imported by Matrix for further customization. So this is something that we are not allowing because we manufacture everything that is in CounterSketch. Now, something that you can do is just the opposite. So you can create a model in Matrix or Matrix Go and then import it to CounterSketch. Of course, that we will end up producing that piece if you attach anything that we have in the library. So something that I do quite often, and I will do in one of the probably tomorrow session, is I produce anything in Matrix Go, then I bring it to CounterSketch, because in CounterSketch you have all the freehand parts, so you can attach to the base model that you have made in Matrix Go. Then you bring it into CounterSketch and you can attach all these freehand parts. Now, for instance, it's very trendy, all the leaves and all this kind of decoration in your design. So this is something that you can do in CounterSketch. You make it in Matrix Go, you bring it to CounterSketch, attach all these pieces, and then you send it to Stellar.
Once you bring it in the CounterSketch too, you could also use those real-time estimates. So you could make a base model in Matrix Gold or Matrix, bring it into CounterSketch, add those leaf designs, and do a quick estimate right there on the spot. So another perk of using the two together.
Look, there is something that I always like to tell about CounterSketch. Probably I already told this last year, but the first time that I discovered CounterSketch, I was designing in another software. I went into a customer shop and he had CounterSketch. When I saw the CounterSketch, him using CounterSketch, I remember I went out from the store going to my wife and saying, I'm done. There is nothing else that I can do. Because for that customer was so easy to design with CounterSketch that I was thinking, what I'm going to do now? So this is how powerful CounterSketch is. So we have another question about from Manish saying, how is the resin? Is it castable? So the resin that you are getting in the B9 with the integration that we have for CounterSketch, that resin is not castable, right? Of course, that if you have the B9 and you use another resin with just say Matrisol, of course that one will be castable. But the integration that we have worked out with CounterSketch and the B9, all the software that we have to create the supports and everything, the resin that you get to do that is not castable.
And I think you want to use the gray resin anyway if you're working with a customer, because it doesn't break as easy as the rest of them.
That's a very, very good point, Kevin, because you're right that I remember that there were some resins that once you were getting it, they were breaking very, very easily. So that's something that it's a good call that the customers, and I don't know what do you do, Kevin, but does the customers get the resin and then they get it at home to show it to their family or something like this? Or
yeah, once we show them the resin, we let them leave with it, because then they're going to be excited until they get it. They're going to be showing their friends and telling them about the experience and driving customers back to you. But really, when you look at the cost of combining CounterSketch with the B9 and the number of models out there, it's a virtual library that's very inexpensive. Look, I mean, you have customers that come in for something that you don't have. So you can print it out and you've just increased your chances of making a sale. Because I've seen different numbers from anywhere from $20 to $40 that it costs you to market and keep your doors open a year per customer that walks through the door. So you can't afford to let a customer walk through the door without presenting them something to buy. So you can have fun printing it, designing it, and hopefully you can lock down a deal and make a sale.
Kevin, do you feel that the customer is like a lot more invested in the piece once they help you design it and then they print it?
They are, because they feel like, you're actually doing the controls, but they have input in the design a lot more than the old way. When we would sit down and listen to what they wanted and then hand carve it, the customer did not feel that they owned the ring or had as much input in the design. With them sitting there while you're actually doing the design work, that is what gets them involved and makes them assume ownership. And, whether it's selling a piece of jewelry out of your case or selling a piece from CounterSketch, when that customer starts assuming ownership, that becomes their ring. And all you have to do is complete it and write it up.
Yeah, I also feel CounterSketch shows your customer options they didn't even think of, right? So beforehand, if you were just telling me what you wanted and I'm hand sketching it, I don't know what I don't know. But in CounterSketch, you have that whole design stack where I'm like, oh, I can make the shank thicker, or I can make the stones bigger. You didn't know you had that option until it's in front of your face.
It is fun watching how excited customers get in the design process while it's being created.
Yeah, and the experience is with the B9 and with the diamond that you can place in the center. It's so easy that now just listening to Lenny and Kevin talking about it, even myself gets excited to get an engagement ring. So this is something that it must work in front of the customer for sure. We have another question. Sorry, go ahead, please, Kevin.
I think in today's world, you have a lot of engineers that have went through school, or even in high school and college. Anybody that's 30 or 35 years or younger has had a little bit of work of CAD stuff while they were in school at some point. So they really like that. And as far as just sitting down and drawing it and saying you can create it isn't going to interest those people anywhere near as much as the CounterSketch thing does.
Fantastic. We have another question from Mikel Nunes. He's asking if he can use CounterSketch in a country other than US. Of course you can. You can use it any part of the world and installer reach any country. So we send jewelry all over the world, so you don't need to worry at all. You can use CounterSketch, and we have a state-of-art team to send, to produce and to send anything around the world. So you don't need to worry about that for sure. There is another question here that it's saying how long the learning curve takes to integrate this technology to my business. I think that Kevin already was talking about this. So very short, right, Kevin? So
within a week or two, you should have enough experience to be working with customers. And so what if you don't get it perfect, or it takes you a couple minutes to figure something out when you're with a customer? That's just part of the learning curve. You know, it's no different than playing a guitar in a band. You might think you're good just sitting there by yourself, but until you actually get in a band and can interact with the rest of the band and put it all together, you still haven't got it down. And that's part of, you know, make a mistake or two. It's easy to recover from it and move on.
Yeah, and I remember also one time that we was in a show, actually, that even there was one lady coming there and she found it so easy because we had it in one of these screens that it's you can touch the screen and you can do it through the screen. So she really liked it, and she was making her design by her own. So she never owned CounterSketch before. She came there, it was a cash and carry show, so she was there to buy jewelry. But when she found out CounterSketch, even she wasn't a jeweler, she started to play with CounterSketch, just first choosing the model that she liked from the library with the gems that she liked, and then just making it a bit bigger or smaller. Of course, not at the level that Lainey was showing us, but for her, that she didn't even had experience with jewelry, it was super easy.
And don't forget that if you do not have the design experience, Stellar still has a validator there to back you up in case you did make a mistake on something and you send in a model that's not castable or settable. Your customer's never going to know it because Stellar's going to fix it.
If I have to tell you that the pieces that I received at the very beginning when I was designing, that I thought that would be thick enough, and it was just a very thin wire. So having a Stellar backing you up, it's amazing. So I think that this is very good.
Great
It's
product.
a good security blanket too. That'll just give you more confidence in it, because get it close enough and then we'll make sure it's producible.
All right, so look, it's almost 50 minutes. So I believe that we have covered a lot of. I like this session because we have been talking a lot about the industry, right? So what challenges are we facing? What solutions are we providing to be to have our own brand, to custom for our customers? So I think that what we have been going through between CounterSketch, the B9, and of course, Kevin, your testimonial today has been something amazing, because many of the people who's watching us, that actually there are a lot, for sure, that they feel like in your position. So it's good for them to know that there is these solutions and how these solutions help your business. So I really appreciate today being with us, Kevin. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Lainey, Tanner, also thank you.
Yeah, thank you too, Oriol. It was really fun doing this.
Yeah, thank you. Anytime I get to show someone CounterSketch is a good day.
So, and Kevin, please keep talking to us, keep letting us know what you think about CounterSketch, any feedback, because users like you are very well appreciated in Stellar and Gemvision.
It is a fun product to use.
Thank you so much. All right. So I think that we are good to go. Again, thank you so much, all of the attendants, and also the panelists, Kevin, Lainey, and Tanner. And hopefully we see you the next year with the Ford Virtual Summit. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Have a good afternoon.